Okay, thank you everybody. Now I think you can hear me. I think you can hear me now. I was saying that I'm going to give you the general overview of the revitalization process of the National Herbarium of Rwanda, since gifted to University of Rwanda in 2018. So welcome everybody to this presentation. Yeah, actually, the first picture shows how the herbarium was looking while gifted to the University of Rwanda. The coming picture is showing how the herbarium is looking like now. So let me start by giving you what is an herbarium. I'm bringing this question because since gifted to the University of Rwanda, I have been having some visitors and they was wondering what is an herbarium, and they thought that an herbarium was like a living collections, was like a botanical garden. So I'm trying to clarify this that an herbarium is like a collection of botanical specimens that already collected in the field, being pressed, dried, mounted, and then preserved in the belonged cabinets. So this is the real definition of the herbarium. It's not confused to the botanical garden. A botanical garden is a living collection, is a living plant, while this herbarium is the collected specimens from the field and then placed, dried, and then mounted. So it is just archival in that way. The specimens was cabineted, well cabineted, and labeled to they belong the families. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover three important points since gifted to the University of Rwanda. The first point that I was talking about is upgrading process of this treasure. The second one is the digitizing process. And those two things will give us what could be an herbarium could be looking like. So I will be telling you the vision of this National Herbarium of Rwanda. So let me starting by upgrading the process of this National Herbarium of Rwanda. During the upgrading process, we evaluated all specimens already found in the cabinets, and we found that over 15,000 specimens were in good condition, and over 100 specimens were extremely damaged. Those that was extremely damaged were repaired and then get back to the collections or continue being preserved in the freezer. So in the evaluation, we found that enormous specimens in the collection was collected, were collected in Tanzania in 1915, and now it is lasting over 100 years in this herbarium. So you can see how it is looking like, and a person who collected that specimens, and it was called Hypoestes antinifera, but currently the updated name of this species is Hypoestes aristata. This is the enormous specimens that collected outside Rwanda, and I'm going to show you enormous specimens that is collected in Rwanda. This specimens is collected by Jean-Paul Antoine Riblon in 1938, and now you see how old it is, and it is called Eriosema erisi loseni. So after evaluating those specimens that were in the collection, we also made an inventory of unmounted specimens that left segregated everywhere in the corner in the herbarium. Through this inventory, we found that it was like over 2,500 unmounted specimens that were segregated everywhere in the herbarium, and it was looking like that, as you are seeing in these pictures. So within these unmounted specimens, we found that almost 1,400 specimens were in a good condition, and those that we found in a good conditions, we sorted depending on the collectors and the family that they belonged, and then being mounted now. This is the mounting process in this picture that you are seeing. So also the building has been rearranged. While gifted to the herbarium to the University of Rwanda, it was just looking in Hutchinson. The families was arranged in Hutchinson, and now it is being arranged historically and APG for arrangement. So the Hutchinson's family arrangement was like it was the classification of the families depending on the similarities, while this historical and APG4 arrangement is just looking on the specimens, the historical specimens, and then APG4 arrangement that we put it in our herbarium. So this is how now the herbarium is looking like, and updating those nomenclature and taxonomic information. We of course consulted the different database worldwide, such as the plant list. This is a strong database that contains the updated information. We also consulted the Maize Botanical Garden data portal. This data portal contains many duplicates of this herbarium. And also we consulted the plants of the world worldwide, that is in Kew Botanical Garden. So after updating the taxonomical information on the database, we are now putting annotation label to the physical specimens. The annotation label is looking like this. You see, this annotation label mentioned that this is Herbaria petiolata. It is now placed in the Campanulaceae family, while before it was in the Roberiaceae family. And this was annotated in December. It is just recently. So we also managed to establish 2 rooms, just separating the clean room I'm using this term of clean room because there is no more unmounted or collected specimens directly from the field that comes directly to the herbarium clean room. So the clean room contains the collections that you are seeing here on this picture, and these collections in the future will be separated by a partition wall, and this room will be air conditioning in order to meet the international requirement of a good herbaria. So this is how now the herbarium clean room is looking like. And then we have another room called herbarium dirty room. I didn't use that dirty room, but we are now using like it is a dirty room because it's where all process after field correction the specimens undergo. It is where we dried the specimens, is where we put the corrections from the field, is where the mounting activities went through. So those are the room that we established under this project of upgrading this National Herbarium of Rwanda. So let's move on digitalization. I'm done with the upgrading part. I'm going to the digitalization process. In the digitalization process, we are using a Symbiota software, which is a software that is designed for specimen-based virtual flora or fauna web portals, and that will be fostering a biocollaborative environmental within a given region. So this software really helped us to harmonize species information that was held in various formats. So some of you that visited the herbarium, you saw that the information that was the label that was on the label was in various format. But today we managed to put in a good format by using this Symbiota software. So we also have an installation equipment that we are using to photograph the specimens. So here you are seeing a copy stand with a camera, a digital camera. This camera is directly connected to these two computers, and these two computers just manage the camera, control the camera. You cannot hit on the camera while you are going to take an image. You use the computer for photographing specimens that are placed here on the copy stand. So we were lucky to have a specialist in digitization, Dr. Michael Thomas, who came in March to train us about the digitalization process, and he brought those equipment also. That are a group of people that were trained during this process. So I can just tell you a little bit about how the digitization or photographing process goes. First of all, we barcoded the specimens. You see a barcode here, which gave us like, this is a barcode which gave us like a properties of the university. And while photographing, this is how the system looks like. The photos are placed like this, and then after being photographed, it went directly to deep freezer for detecting the infections. After deep freezing the specimens, it gets back to the cabinet. So this is a simple process that I summarized to show you that we are undergo now. So in our vision, that I will be talking a little bit more later, this is the National Herbarium of Rwanda data portal that we are making. So the data portal is looking like this. This is actually a draft that we are using currently. The data portal is not yet established, but it will be looking like this. So this is, once you open up the data portal, how it looks like. Then after hitting to the search correction that you are seeing here, you find many corrections. Here I choose the National Herbarium of Rwanda, as I'm talking to. And after opening that, you can see now the correction is simple statistics that the software could make. As I mentioned earlier during this presentation, you found that we started like inventorying the over 15,000 specimens, but by now we are reaching about 18,000 specimens in the data portal. So you can see how the improvement is. So once you wanted to make, for example, showing the geographical distribution of these specimens, you can hit here, but I will be showing you later. I would like to show you other checklists that this data portal is held. We have in the data portal the lichens of Rwanda checklist. We have fungi of Rwanda checklist. And also we managed to repatriate data from different institutions worldwide. I can tell you that it's the top 5 herbaria worldwide that we retrieved this information. Here I said that it is, I forget to put a 0 here, but we repatriated the data like 53,000 type specimens that are in other herbaria worldwide. Also, this national Herbarium data portal contains the seed collections checklist that I recently collected in Arboretum. So, economic value of National Herbarium of Rwanda. Before hitting to the vision of this National Herbarium of Rwanda, I would like to share with you the economic value of this national treasure. It's a, you already know its value scientifically, but I would like to turn this into monetary value. So I can say that this national treasure holds these specimens, as you saw, and I calculated the mean value of each specimen by seeing the equipment that used while collecting, the glue, the equipment that are used while mounting that specimens, and also the preservation effort that are making to the specimens. So I gave each specimen like $25 for each specimen. So after calculating, I take these dollars and times these types of specimens that we already have in the collection, and then it gives me this amount of US dollars. So now you can see how many millions in Rwandan francs this herbarium holds. This is for only types specimens. I didn't mention the other checklist that I mentioned before, like lichens of Rwanda, fungi of Rwanda, and even those seed collections of Arboretum forest. So let me now hitting the vision that we are setting after upgrading and making the digitalization process of this National Herbarium of Rwanda. I said that this National Herbarium of Rwanda will stimulate the botanical research and plant conservation in Rwanda and in the Albertine Rift. So I can share with you some pictures showing different researchers that are coming to the herbarium. This first one is like a master's student from University of Nigeria, Ibadan. It's a Rwandan student who is conducting a master's program in Nigeria on phytomedicines. And those are two researchers from Yale University that currently visited and referred to the National Herbarium of Rwanda. So I sure hope that after establishing the data portal, this Herbarium of Rwanda will stimulate the botanical research here in Rwanda and also in the region. So we are hoping to make different maps. This is the maps that I used to show you how it will be looking like a distribution maps of some species or some families. We will be able also to make the distribution maps of those different families or interested plants that we have here in Rwanda or in the region. And I sure hope that this building would provide the basic information as it is providing by now, but it will also direct us to the environmental changes. As you saw that some corrections was corrected in 1930, for example, and those corrections, that area could be damaged. So this herbarium will serve us to detect those environmental changes that are happening now. So this facility also will enable new monographs. As you saw that I shared some checklists that the data portal is holding now, and it will enable us to provide some new monographs and flora to the Rwandan flora, also to the region flora. And also it will strengthen the specimens conservation of historical importance, such as those dating discoveries. There are some new discoveries that are happening now. Also, there are some introduced species. Also, there are also some species that have some restriction ranges or some species that require an attention for being conserved. So I hope that this herbarium will provide or will strengthen those conservation status of some specimens. So I thank so much the University of Rwanda through the Center of Excellence that is now hosting and managing this National Herbarium of Rwanda. I thank National Industrial Research and Development Agents for gifting the herbarium to the University of Rwanda. I thank also Seed Expert Plant Development Lab for providing the fund for this herbarium being upgraded and digitized. I also thank you all so much for being attentive. So yeah. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's a time for question if anyone has a question. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have plenty of time for questions, and I'm just going to go up to the top of the chat room, and then I also encourage people to add questions or to ask directly. We have first a question from Letizia from Raymond. She asked, what is the total number of specimens in the herbarium?
Yeah, thank you so much, Letizia. So far, we are reaching 17,085 specimens. So those are the type specimens that you have in the herbarium. And we also have seed collections checklist, which is about like over 200 specimens type seeds collections. And we also have fungi collections. It's not more, but we have only one. And the other fungi collection, we truly hope that we will be getting, it's segregated in the different corners of the country. So I can say about the type specimens.
Could you also talk about the data that you repatriated from outside Rwanda?
Okay, it's the repatriation. Yeah, it's about 53,000 specimens that were repatriated from Topo Herbaria worldwide. And some are duplicates from these facilities, and some are not. They do not have some duplicates.
Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you. Then we have another.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Good. Yeah. We have another question from Bismarck. He asked, is there any document or protocol on setting up an herbarium? What rooms you should have? What equipment you need? And he's asking if you could share that or recommend something. And I can say they need a Michael Thomas.
Yeah, it's a really great question. So those are the protocols that we are trying to develop. So right now, it is not yet ready, but we started developing those protocols of setting up an herbarium and the rooms and how the rooms will be looking like. So I can say that in a month or 2 months, those documents will be ready and could be shared to him if he's interested to get those protocols.
Great. So Bismarck, you can keep in touch with Raymond, and I'll put Raymond's email or Raymond, you can put your email into the chat room.
Yeah.
There's another question from Letizia. How can the herbarium help in updating the inventory of plants of Rwanda? Are there plants that are extinct now in Rwanda?
Wow, great question. So thank you, Letizia. We are just trying to update the correction, of course. It was not updated, but by now it is being updated. And we are encouraging the different institutions to be referring to this herbarium, and the herbarium could be helping updating those those plants of Rwanda, for example. And we are being able also to make like some publications regarding to the specimens or to the species that the herbarium holds now, and those publications will be used to update those inventory that are being made here in Rwanda. So also I can say that the herbarium holds some species that are classified in IUCN Red List, in critically endangered species, vulnerable species. So those species will be also found on the data portal, but it will be having a way of managing them, not just showing everybody its distributions, because it requires an attention to be conserved, but the herbarium really has those plants that are heavily extinct here in Rwanda in addition.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Just a question related.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Yes. How can it be used? The information that you are really gathering is a very good information. How can we use it exactly for policy making or developing conservation plans for, threatened species, etc.?
Okay.
I think this is very important.
Yeah.
Maybe building on the list of red list of IUCN
Yeah.
threatened plants.
Yeah.
Look at what we have in the herbarium, and maybe now make some kind of ground proofing.
Yeah.
To see what are the threats they have now.
Yeah.
Currently.
Okay.
And if we have really to do conservation plans being in situ or ex situ.
Yeah.
So I think what we need also is, from this information, how can we draw information that will enhance conservation of plants in Rwanda?
Okay, thank you, Leticia. It's a great, good question. We are just also making a collaborative thing. Recently, we are planning to visit the Rema and see how we can collaborate together. And I think those information, once we are a collaborative group, we will be able to make a conservation status of some species. The list is there, and its distribution and where the plants can be found, but we really need a collaborative way of making that happen. So once the information is there, so it really needs a collaborative way to get that strengthened. And the herbarium is a primary data source of that information, as you are seeing.
If I could just add, the software Symbiota, one of the reasons we chose it is it's free, open source software and fairly easy to learn and maintain, and it will enable us to be able to do the mapping, and Raymond demonstrated that. And we also actually today just submitted a grant proposal, a concept note to resample sites where we have collections in the herbarium now to determine if populations have gone extinct or what is the status of those populations. And I know that people working in the herbarium now are also working on the checklist to document the species that are present in different protected areas, whether they're wetlands or forests. So we're really interested in this policy linkage, and I'm really glad that you brought that up, Leticia. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We are keen to work with you on that.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Bear, for the add-ons.
So there's a question from Vinat. He was asking if you could talk more about the APG4 system and how it works.
Yeah, thank you, Vinat. Yeah, that is an angiosperm phylogeny group 4. It's the recent group that gathered together worldwide and updating taxonomical information. So that's the way we are using to make updating, like the arrangement of the families in the herbarium. So I can say that on that angiosperm phylogeny group on that.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope that answered his question. And let's see, there's a question from Joseph Tuishineri. He asked, how do you plan to collaborate with some research institutions such as Karasoki Research Center or WCS, as they might have the same project, and therefore having one shared digital platform would be a great achievement?
Oh, great question. So we are just in touch of those institutions. Like recently, we provide some information to Karasoki Research Center. We are just collaborative, and I know that WCS, since this facilities was in a need, the WCS provide its specimens to this National Herbarium of Rwanda. So we are still in a collaboration of those two institutions to make a collaborative. And I can say that once they will be also establishing the new herbarium, this is the National Herbarium of Rwanda. So we might have the duplicates of specimens in the National Herbarium of Rwanda, and also they could be maintaining the herbarium or establishing the herbarium as they wish.
Great. And I can just add that Symbiota does allow for the sharing of the information, and also together with Raymond and others in the herbarium, we put in a GBIF BID proposal, which looks at creating a network. And so those institutions, both in Rwanda and in the region that already have herbaria, are included, and Karasoki Research Center was in there as well as a partner. So then we have another question. This one is again from Bismarck. Are there collections from other countries other than Tanzania? Any plans to encourage collections from other parts of the world, especially Africa?
Yeah, we have some specimens from the neighboring country like DRC, Burundi, and Tanzania, and even Kenya. But it's not many specimens that we have in the herbarium. So the second question was saying?
The second part of the question was any plans to encourage collections from other parts of the world, especially Africa?
Yeah, we have the plans. We already initiate a project of gathering together all herbaria in this region to make like a collaborative way of making the specimens available. So we initiated that, like making an Albertine Rift herbaria network to make. While that project implemented, it will be a good way of collaborating those neighboring countries in the region, as we shared commonly the flora.
Great.
Yeah.
And then Deo asked, you said that 53,000 specimens were repatriated.
Yeah.
Is this physical specimen or soft copies?
Yeah, those are the soft copies. Some have duplicates already in this herbarium, but many of them do not have the duplicates. So those are the soft copies that collected from top 5 herbaria worldwide. And we are still gathering, as you know, we have many data scattered worldwide, and we are trying to get those data and put it in that data portal, and that's why I call it repatriated data. Those are mainly the soft copies.
Good. And then Tony Vodacek has a question. Are the data labeled as to whether the specimen is native or introduced?
Yes, some has those information and others do not have. So that's why I started saying that we harmonize the format of the specimens information, because many specimens was in various format, and the Symbiota software helped us to make a good format for how the data could be looking like. Yeah, I can say that some specimens have that information, but others do not have that information.
Good. And then Adrian, he asked about the species that are found in the IUCN Red List, vulnerable or endangered. He asked, what are conservation efforts made reflecting restoration of these species facing extinction?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's looking similar to the Letitia's question, and I said that we are seeing the way of collaborating with LEMA to provide that information and see how we can increase or strengthen the awareness of those vulnerable or endangered species that we already have in the herbarium and also in Rwanda and the area that they used to be, and we can strengthen the status of conserving, like establishing, for example, an in situ conservation, like botanical gardens, or establishing the way of protecting that specimens prior to extinction.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And there's another somewhat related question from Andrew. He asked, how do you cope with invasive plant species that can lead to extinction of native species in Rwanda?
That's a good question that we can also raise to other institutions, like this species is overcompeting to the native species. How can we reduce its competition, or how can we increase the awareness of that species that is overcompeting? So that's also a good question for that, and I think once we establish a collaborative with other institutions, we will cope with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So let's see. And I know, by the way, I know Sam and Shitayezu is here. He's done some work on that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a question about the mounting paper from Blaze.
Yeah.
He asked that he wondered how did you get local paper? It's important to use acid-free paper for preservation. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Blaze. Yeah, we found a market here, local market, that gave us the mounting papers, and we checked that. Actually, we didn't check to see if it is acid-free, but the expert told us that it's a good quality that we can use, and he brought also a samples to test if it is acid-free. So now there is no feedback from him saying that it is acid-free, but it's a good quality paper that we are using, and I hope that we will hear from him soon so that he can say that it is acid-free or it is almost acid-free. But it's a good quality paper that we found here in Rwanda.
Yeah, and I just want to add that we are really committed to finding those materials locally because it's very difficult to procure material here. And if we can find local sources, then that will make it so much easier and cheaper for us. Not necessarily locally made, but local vendors who provision the material.
Yeah.
So there's a question from Sam. He was asking, he said 17,000 specimens is good news. Are they all digitized now? Are all 17,000 only for angiosperms and gymnosperms, or do they include other groups like ferns, mosses? And how many species do we have?
Okay, yeah, I can say that those 17,000 specimens are not now digitized, but we are in the process of digitizing. We initiated we are beginning with digitizing 15,000 specimens. So far, we have the barcodes for 15,000 specimens, but others will be also digitized. And those are angiosperm and gymnosperm groups, excluding the ferns and the mosses. We already have the number of ferns and mosses, as I mentioned in the presentation, that we have a checklist of mosses and ferns. And I can update you that we are about 6,000 specimens now digitized, and we are looking forward to digitize other 9,000 specimens.
Can you tell us that was 6,000 digitized in how many months?
Yeah, in only 2 months, we have like an average of digitizing 300 specimens per day. And the things that delaying the activities is to put the annotation labels to the physical specimens. We annotate them before digitizing, so that they will be having the updated information on the photo that we took.
Right,
Yeah.
and that emphasizes why we really need good plant taxonomists here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Does anybody have any questions or comments? You can put in the chat or unmute your microphone. All right. If there are no other questions, sorry, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you for this presentation. And thank you for everyone who paying much effort in the strengthening of the National Herbarium. However, I have one question also for Professor. Dear Professor Bell, you are doing this for gathering information that will help in the restoration of plant species that found that are at risk of extinction. However, I can compare this herbarium or zoo or botanical garden. I can compare them like a zoo or something.
So,
What do you think about animals? Should be there's something done like sanctuary from should we do something like a sanctuary so that we can keep bones, carcasses, or the horns of animals, so that in the next time those tools will be used in the research. We should be used as research materials or education purpose some way.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. First, I want to say that it's really not me that is doing the herbarium. I really have to give the credit to Raymond, Umazekabiri, and Vadast, Minani, and we have 4 incredibly hardworking interns in there who really have a workflow that allows them to do hundreds of specimens every day. So that's how it's maintained. And then you asked about a sanctuary. A sanctuary is generally for living animals, and I think you're talking about a zoological collections, which would be skins and bones and skeletons. That would be like a sister collection to bear. And so that's what you're referring to. Yes, we are in the process of developing that. It came about for 2 reasons. One is with some colleagues, we put a proposal together to the Volkswagen Foundation, and it was funded to support field schools to learn about collecting and preparing animal specimens and also how to maintain the specimens. So somewhat very similar to how we do collecting and preserving and cataloging in the herbarium. And the second thing is that in the University of Rwanda at Huye campus, in the former biology labs, the roofing was being replaced and everything had to be moved out of the lab. So we offered to move all of the animal specimens and we put them all in a room. And because we have been building a community, a practice around data management, and we have a team of people trained in entering data into a standard format that can be uploaded and used in different software systems, they were able to go in and do the cataloging of those zoological collections. And similar to the plant collections, there's a lot of information you can get from those. So we're in the process. There's a team in the Center of Excellence in Biodiversity and Natural Resource Management. We have a research cluster in zoological collections, and it's headed by Dr. Aisha Niramana, and she has been working with several other partners and colleagues, some who are on this on this presentation here, and they are working on a concept note and working on how to expand the training and the maintenance of that collection and to link it to research and policy. So thank you for that question. Yeah, thank you. I see there's another question. This one is from Tony Vodacek again. He said, if you now have an updated estimate of the number of species in Rwanda, the number of plant species.
Yeah, the number of plant species that we currently have is 3,000 and about 100 species. So it increases from that 3,000 to 3,100 species.
There's any other questions or comments? Tony was asking, are the images available through Symbiota software?
Yeah, they are not yet available to the Symbiota software. We are still building that data portal, but hopefully in December, at the end of this year, the whole data portal will be ready and accessible to everyone that wants to access.
Yeah, we'll be doing a social media blitz to announce it because we'll all be so excited when it's open. So any other questions or comments? If not, I hope it's okay with you, Raymond. I put your email there because I know that there's at least one person who wanted to connect with you. And again, I want to thank everybody. And I just want to mention that, as Raymond emphasized, building up this herbarium is really a collaborative project, and I really thank all the people that were there from the start when we were getting it off the ground, including Sam and Chutayezu is here, and then also Elias Bizuru and many other people who either contributed specimens or collaborated to help this happen. And this is just the start. There's so much more work to be done, and we really hope to develop a team or a cadre of botanists and taxonomists and plant conservationists that are working out of the National Herbarium of Rwanda and representing a really important research center for the country and the region. So thanks everybody again, and don't forget, if you know somebody who you think could give a talk in our seminar, or if you want to give a talk or you have an idea, contact us and Daniel will get you set up. Thank you very much. Thanks again, Raymond.
Thank you, everyone. But before closing,
clapping.
Yeah, some say, just asked if there is a plan of training a group of people to use the Symbiota software. We already started. We already started training about the how to use the Symbiota software. We recently received different students from different institutions coming down the herbarium, working the internship in there, and we already trained them how to use those software and how to digitize. Yeah,
maybe we can add that we probably will do some other trainings once we get the portal launched, and also we have a bigger training inside that BID proposal that we submitted. So if that gets funded, we'll also be doing a training in Rwanda with partners from the region. But if there is a request for the training, I'm sure we can figure something out and do that, because we do want people to use the portal, and also if they want to use it on their systems, they can do that too. Anything else? Well, thanks everybody again. I hope you have a great weekend and take some time to look around at your plants. I've been remembering that we really need to change the way we interact with nature, and part of that is observing the beautiful plants all around you. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy the plants, and thank